Tombstone, Arizona is infamous for the gunfight at the OK Corral. Everyone has heard so much of the fight, and numerous movies have been depicted. Located in Cochise County, Arizona, Tombstone was known as the town that was too tough to die. Silver miner Ed Schieffelin named the town. He was employed as a guard for an assessment crew at the Brunkow mine, which was located 5 miles west of Tombstone. One soldier had told Schieffelin, "You keep fooling around out there amongst the Apaches, the only rock you'll find will be on your tombstone." So when Ed Schieffelin discovered silver ore in the area, he decided to call his claim Tombstone because of the soldier's warning. Soon people heard about his silver discovery and arrived in the area. Others found more silver and established other mines. And they used the name Tombstone for the town they built nearby. By the end of 1881, the town of Tombstone had a population of more than 5,000.
The town boomed and included 110 saloons and over 14 gambling halls. It still remains a popular tourist destination today, where people flock to this historic town to take a step into the past. We recently wandered into the town, and one of the stops we made was the Birdcage Theater. It is one of our fascinations with Tombstone, and knowing the history of the place gives you insight to what it was like back then.
The Birdcage Theater's grand opening in Tombstone was on Christmas Eve, 1881. It gained the reputation as one of the wickedest theaters between New Orleans and San Francisco. It was owned by Lottie and William Billy, known as Billy Hutchinson. He was a variety performer. It was originally intended to have respectable family shows like Hutchinson saw in San Francisco. After the theater opened, they hosted a ladies' night for the respectable women of Tombstone who could attend for free. But the economics of Tombstone didn't support their aspirations. They soon canceled the ladies' night and began offering entertainment that appealed to the rough mining crowd. It served as a one-stop saloon, opera house, gambling hall, and brothel.
One of the most famous customers of the Birdcage Theater was Wyatt Earp, who met Josephine Sarah Marcus there. She was a performer who worked at the Birdcage Theater. Here is her working license on display at the Birdcage Theater. $7.50, and it was a license for the business of House of Ill Fame, as it says here. It is signed by none other than Deputy Marshal Wyatt Earp.
Legend has it that 26 people were killed in the Birdcage Theater. Over 140 bullet holes remain in the building, and you can still see the bullet holes today. It was one of the wildest, meanest places in Tombstone. Because of this, it is one of the most haunted sites in Tombstone as well.
Visitors and employees of the Birdcage Theater have reported seeing various ghosts. You can still tour the theater today, as it is now a museum. We recommend the guided tour because of all the cool artifacts on display. They give a great history of those items. One of the more morbid is a horse-drawn hearse called the Black Maria. From 1881 to 1917, the Black Maria carried all but 6 of the Tombstone, Arizona residents to Boot Hill Graveyard. The hearse is trimmed in 24-karat gold and sterling silver and was the first vehicle with curved glass. This is only one of 8 made and can be seen on display in the Birdcage Theater. After the famous October 26, 1881 street fight near the OK Corral, the late Tom and Frank McLaury made their last ride to Boot Hill in the back of the Black Maria. It was said that the Black Maria had a cowboy for breakfast every day. The Black Maria is valued by the Ford Museum at over $2 million.
We'd never been on a ghost tour where you try and communicate with spirits, but the Birdcage does offer one. So we decided to take part in the ghost tour while we were there. After the tour, we all assembled behind the stage with K2 meters and had interactions with the spirits that night.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Is it Joshy?
Where you at, buddy?
When it's dark and you see the 4 lights that are there.
Oh, there you
wow.
go. One of the spookiest parts was when I felt someone behind me. I didn't speak up because I'm used to that sort of thing, but to have another person on the tour see it confirmed my suspicions.
Should switch chairs with me so you can catch the movement over here on the side.
That's what I saw something over there, the sign over there.
Yeah, whoever's got the phone
At the top of the
whoever's got
stairs?
the phone on over here, it's right past their heads.
Yeah.
I can see
Like
it.
right behind her.
Me?
Yeah.
Great.
Doesn't that make you feel good?
Yeah.
Picture right behind.
There were a handful of regular spirits that visited, including a former prostitute showgirl who worked there, and a little boy spirit known as Joshy, who is said to be tied to the Black Mariah hearse that is on display.
Tombstone was a thriving town back then, but then on Tuesday, May 3rd, 1887, was the day the earth shook in the Sonoran Desert. Throughout Cochise County, just above the Mexican border, many ranches and settlements felt the effects of the 7.2 estimated magnitude earthquake. Bisbee, they also felt the impact of the earth shaking. Miners 400 feet below the surface even felt the shock. A few miles southwest of Tombstone in the town of Charleston, the earthquake left not one building safe to live in. The town's existence was already on the decline, and with the crumbling of what buildings were left, the town's fate was sealed. Also along the San Pedro River, the town of Fairbank, too, received its share of damage when the Earth's movement actually moved the railroad along the embankment as much as 12 inches.
10 miles from Tombstone, a lake covering an acre of ground completely dried up in 20 minutes, as reported by the Tucson Citizen newspaper on May 4th, 1887. It was confirmed to have been Kimball's Lake near Fairbank. Some say the San Pedro River course was also changed from south to north that day. Waters may still be heard from the inside of the cave near the site of Charleston.
The water line snapped between Tombstone and the water storage tank in the Huachucas, where the shock had lasted a full 3 minutes. Fires surrounded the horizon, smoke shut out the sun. The many large mesquite trees that had dotted the open range were burned to their roots.
The rich grazing lands that once supplied ranchers with abundant grasses for their cattle was now destroyed by fires afterwards. All the grass was destroyed and many cattle died of starvation. Geologists today believe that the earthquake of May was a 100,000-year quake. They believe that the epicenter was located near the remote Mexican village of Bavis. They theorize that perhaps tremors felt in this region today are aftershocks from this event that took place many years ago.
Unlike California earthquakes that occur when tectonic plates bump into each other, intraplate earthquakes happen along fault lines throughout the West. These earthquakes, though rare in recent human history, created Western topography as we know it today. Earthquakes gradually pushed up the mountain ranges that run north to south and formed the wide valleys or basins of what geologists call the Basin and Range Province. This is part of today's Nevada, Utah, Oregon, Idaho, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and Mexico.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of The Wandering Buffaloes and getting to know the area around Tombstone, Arizona, and specifically learning the history of the Birdcage Theater, which we really enjoyed. And the reason why we're bringing this to you today is because 139 years ago, the Birdcage Theater had its grand opening on December 24th and was open to the public on December 26th.
Yep, one of our passions, just besides looking for gold, crystals, and treasures along the way, is also learning about the history in our travels in the areas and getting to know some of the historical events that took place. So we hope you've enjoyed this as we continue to go through all of our footage for over the past year and put more episodes out this winter for you to enjoy before we head back out and start wandering for more adventures and finding treasures along the way.
And if you like what you see, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and look at our patron page. Become a patron member for different tiers for some fabulous prizes.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time.